Hi, darling. It's so nice to see you again, everybody.
So special to see you as well. So good to see your beautiful face.
Oh, yeah, we just had the most wonderful session last week, right? It
It
was
was
just
so
last week.
special.
Yeah.
It was just last week, and yeah, it was really special. And as I said, after a session, I really do sit with the person's energy, and I just love sitting with your energy. I really do. So, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
that session felt so nourishing and nurturing, and it really has been with me. And I'm so grateful that we've been in contact and I've been able to like tune in and check in. And you've been sending me little downloads and like just before we got onto this call, we had a little check-in. And because obviously Marjorie knows my chart, she's like, "Oh, you'll be feeling this, and this is what." And I was like, "Oh, of course, that's what I'm going through." So it's just so
I
wonderful.
love that. I know. And the more, the more, as I said, once I've seen somebody's chart and understanding, I really can and connect for when where somebody's at and when you tell me how you feel and yeah, so it's really special. It's really a privilege and very special.
Hey, so we haven't nobody knows what they're actually on this call for. What is it that
Yes.
you do? What is Vedic astrology and how, yeah, like what is Vedic astrology? And then we'll go into how it differs from Western, because that's what we're more used to, right?
Yeah, yeah. So really, Vedic astrology or astrology is really, the study of the planets and the stars and the earth. And I think one of the things I love most about astrology in general, whether it's Vedic or Western, is it has no discrimination. So it's got no discrimination over color, race, gender, whatever it may be. It's literally based on the earth, the sun, the stars, the planets, and it affects us all exactly the same. So it's something that I found, really amazing about the subject. And it's also a tool and a modality that really helps you to understand yourself in every way. And it gives you tools to manage life and just kind of dissect your own brain and your own heart and your own emotions. So that is really, the basis of astrology. And yeah, it's a tool to understand yourself. And I always actually say, dance with the universe. The universe is changing and that the planet is always moving. And if we can learn to dance with the universe, we can live a much more happy life in general.
Mm. More easeful.
And happy and peaceful, yes, and aligned. I think that's a lie, aligned. Yeah. Once you can understand who you are and what your purpose is and align with it, life is living. We want to live, we don't want to exist.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna actually just like go straight into what you're saying because it's on point. You know, I was so grateful to have a reading with you. I also have a Western astrologer. And so I had some understanding of what I'm moving through. And right now, what I'm moving through is a, a little bit more of a difficult time. And, the real transmission that I've received from both readings is like, this is my moment to surrender more. And this tool, this understanding of this is the season to surrender more, like already surrendering is a challenging thing for any human to do. But when I'm like, oh, why is this stuck? Why is this sticky? I'm like, oh, yeah, remember the readings? You're going through a challenging time. How much more can you surrender? And this is the beauty of this modality, right? Of going to an astrologer and them saying, this is your season, X, Y, and Z. Here's some.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the interesting thing really is that, no one is really going to seek out for the most part an astrologer when their life is hunky-dory and making millions because they'd rather be sitting in Greece drinking cocktails than looking for help. But, so people generally do seek out help in more difficult times of their lives. But yes, so absolutely. But it very much when you can understand that you can sit with this because it's what you have to do, you can come out stronger. Instead of it just crushing you, you can learn the lessons. We always say learn those lessons, internalize the lessons because we put you for a reason. And in fact, whether you like it or not, we all have karmas that we have built up throughout this lifetime and many, 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 many lifetimes. And they might not even be our own karmas, they might be karmas from our ancestors and our families, which they've passed down to us. And whether we like it or not, we've got to pay them back. So, if you're going through a hard time and you're paying off karmas, it's a good thing. Pay off your karma so we don't have to pay it off again.
And I think,
Yeah.
I actually like the organic flow of this conversation in terms of what's the difference between Western and Vedic astrology. So when I came for my session with you, karmas came up, which is not in Western astrology. The
Yeah.
other thing that I found absolute, like this part really blew my mind was how much information and yeah, like context you had into my father, my mother, my grandmother, so into my family without having their birth dates, without having that information. And I feel like that's quite different from Western astrology. Am I right or wrong there?
Yeah, so I definitely think so. Basically, let me give you like a little quick breakdown because I've
Hmm.
always been saying I would. What is the main, and really keeping it simple so that any of our listeners can actually understand in a very, very simple way what's the difference between Western and Vedic. So basically speaking, Western astrology is also known as the tropical astrology system, and it's based on the sun. So that's why the Western astrologers place a lot of importance on our sun sign in Western astrology, and so they should. And I think that our sun sign tells a lot about our personality when we're looking at it from a Western astrology. So Western is the sun and the seasons, and essentially, whether we're in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, the seasons don't change. Winter comes the same time every year, summer comes the same time every year, and etc. etc. With Vedic astrology, number one, Vedic astrology actually got its name from the Vedas, which are the ancient Indian scriptures, but it's also known as sidereal astrology, and sidereal means stars. So it's based on the stars, not the sun. And okay, so stay with me for 1 second. But due to the precession of the equinoxes, which is the movement of the stars, they actually move backwards in the zodiac in the sky, 1 degree every 72 years. So basically speaking, 2000 years ago, the Western and the Vedic systems both aligned at 0 degrees Aries. But now the Western system always starts at 0 degrees Aries, but because of this precession of the equinoxes, the movement of the stars, the Vedic system now falls 24 degrees behind the Western system, and we actually sit at 6 degrees Pisces. And it's quite interesting that you've often heard people say the dawning of the age of Aquarius. I'm sure you've heard we're heading to the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Well, as I said, at the moment we're in the age of Pisces, and we are now sitting at 6 degrees Pisces in a backwards motion. So just to note that each sign is 30 degrees. So if we are at 6 degrees Pisces, it's going to take us 6 degrees to get into Aquarius, but 6 times 72, because each degree is 72 years. So, yes, we're dawning on the age of Aquarius, but only in about 420 or 30 years.
Oh my God.
So now this makes this is the difference between the Western and the Vedic zodiacs, is that we literally move back 24 degrees in the horoscope, and the signs fall in different houses of the zodiac. And because it's more of an accurate reading, because we're actually taking into the precession of the equinox, the movement of the stars, it enables the Vedic system to give a much more accurate predictive modality. And the stars are actually the stars and the constellation of the stars is actually what make up the signs, and they give the signs meanings. And this is the beauty of the Vedic astrology. So it took me a long time to say that, but these groupings of stars are known as nakshatras, of which there are 27 nakshatras, give each sign a mountain of flavor, a mountain of flavor. And each different,
There
each,
is no
yeah,
doubt how passionate you are about this. You're just like,
um,
let me tell
yeah.
you, I love it.
I
Yeah.
really am so, and there's so many different, when you say like, how do I know about all these different things? Every different house in your, and there's 12 houses in a horoscope, really. And every different house explains a different part of your life. And a different, and we related, and then when you use transits and navamshas and stars and aspects, and this is how come we land up with so much information.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah,
But what you're explaining is really, really important. But
yeah,
and the point of this call as well is like introducing solo slash the world to you and the way that you interpret this. And I was very
yeah.
fortunate to have this session. And like anyone that's watching this can see the passion and the aliveness that's in you and how you look and you translate. And like while I was in the session with you, you were just staring at the screen and you were like, and then this and this and this. And like, we have so much access right now to deciphering things through AI. But the real
Right,
magic is when someone like you that has so much passion for this takes this mammoth amount of information and A, deciphers it for us, and relates it and speaks it into language that we can comprehend. Because as soon as you go into the jargon of it that you love, like the little mere mortal me, like poof.
the nitty-gritty. I know, I do. There's so much information in a birth chart of anything and everything. And there's another beautiful system that the Vedic system uses known as the dashes, and it literally describes the life cycle that you're living in at the moment. And it's another bit of information which we can dive into. And yes, I'm incredibly passionate about this. And, I'm incredibly grateful to have found this modality because I don't even think I found it. I think it found me. I think, that, yeah, I think it's something that I have inside. And, even for my own horoscope, I know it's not the first time I'm bringing this information to the world. And when it found me, it just started pouring out of me. It literally started pouring out of me. And yeah, and, I just want to help people and I want to help guide people. And, I see it. So when I see it, I need to express it. And I'm so glad it comes across, the way I wanted to. I'm really
Mm.
grateful for that.
So we touched on a little bit of like in general, right? People seek people when there is a bit of a contraction and answers need to be there. So we've established that that is one route to you. Um,
Hmm.
I'm fortunate enough to have established relationships with astrologers. And I know a lot of people and astrologers, right? Where it's
Hmm.
kind of like a therapist in terms of you have your standing meeting and like your year's forecast is there and like this like little handbook to life.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yes, in troubled times, it can be supportive. What other reasons other than troubled times would it be good
I
to
love
have astrology
that.
reading?
Because I actually love that you say that, because that's amongst us astrologers. Like, we wish that people wouldn't come just when you are having an issue, because the astrology, it unlocks or shows you your potential. It shows you your potential and your potential in that time. And yeah, and it really will, like, you might think, okay, I'm an accountant, but I love to sing and I love to act, but why would I ever do that? How could I do that? But you might actually go to an astrologer just to, when you're making good money and you're feeling good and whatever, and they might say to you, and you feeling it inside, but you think, how can I do this when I'm an accountant? You know what I mean? And they might be able to say to you, but why are you not using this modality? And so it's just allowing you to express the real you at the right time, in the right place, and yeah, reach your full potential, really. Self-actualize.
So much content in it, right? Like when people say I don't believe in it, it's almost laughable because there's so much content that like, how could this all be made up? It's just such a huge body of knowledge. But I feel like, when you read a book, the
Mm.
first time you read it, the certain information rises to the top. The second time you read it, a movie, anything. And coming to an
Yes,
astrologer, these every time you go, different things surface, and you're like, oh, that's why I'm like that, or that's why I'm struggling with this. If I'm more true to myself, given what the reading says, life can flow with more ease, which is what we started this
absolutely.
conversation with. Is like, how can I create
Absolutely.
ease in this human existence, which is so tough, no matter who, where, what, how you are as a human being? How can it bring more ease,
How
knowing yourself more?
how can we dance with the universe,
Mm,
and dance it? And exactly that you're saying. Of course, every time, as you say, you read another book or you read something again, you'll find things and you're like, oh my gosh, how did I not see that the first time? And I think that's true for anything you go over and over and over. But another thing with astrology is the stars, the planets, the earth, everything's always moving. Nothing stays the same. And the only thing I can predict for every single person listening over here is that you will die one day. One day we are all going to die, hopefully we're probably going to come back again. So that's why I say watch your karma, but things are forever changing. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. And even the way we are, and when you say, right now I'm doing this, right now we are always changing. We change who we are, from the moment we are born until the end. And that's also it's a guiding system. But and I, as an astrologer, of course, you can see in 5 years' time where this planet's going to be and that planet's going to be in, but there's no use looking in 5 years' time. But in 5 years' time, when you go for another reading, it'll be vastly different because everything, besides your natal birth chart, which is it's a snapshot of the sky when you were born. That's all it really is. But it's a snapshot of the sky at the minute, the second that you were born. Besides that, everything is changing, and so are we. And so that's why it's good to have the guidance of the only thing the only thing that we can always say is perfection, which is the earth, the sun, the stars. I always say it's the perfection of the universe that the sun doesn't come slamming into the earth. And the earth doesn't go slamming into Jupiter, and we literally stay grounded on the earth and we don't float up into space. This is just the perfection of the universe and the perfection of the study of astrology.
mm.
Yeah.
Thank you. So you're on the portal. People can get hold of you via your Sage profile. You do
Amazing.
readings in person. Do you do them online too?
Absolutely, in reading and in person. And I just want to also say to you, when we're talking about the platform, this by far is my home. I only found it recently, as you know, and it came across again through the stars, through the alignment of the stars. And I won't get into that at this point, but it is the most unbelievable group of people with like-minded, let's rather say like-minded people with the same passion and direction in life. And yeah, and we all seekers and sages. I mean, we all seekers and sages, but we've all come together in this platform because of you and your brilliance. And I think that, but really and honestly, and you keep it together, and it's just I really found a home, and I'm really really happy to be here, and I just can't wait to meet as many people and reach as many people and interact with as many of the unbelievable people we have in this group,
Our community.
our
Oh, thank you.
community.
Oh,
Yeah.
such such a delight. Thank you so much.
I
I
know, you
really
too.
appreciate you, and I know that anyone that comes into your field and is blessed to have a reading with you will see your light and feel your nourishing, wholesome holding. So thank you.
I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you, and just all my love. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll pop your links down here, and people can get hold of you. And yeah.
I'd love to see all those amazing people out there, and I'm always here for everybody who's needing a guiding light. And love and light to everybody.
Mm.